gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! Y'all ready for this?
Hello all, and welcome to the post-draft preseason breakdown for the Fantasy League Weedham Boys. Once again, I'm your host and lord, Mr. Mathematics, your commissioner, Slord. The draft uncovered many things for us. Our rosters, our admiration for Google Hangout, and of course Brad, aka Straight's, love for wing wongs. Upon completion of the draft, I, your commissioner, Slord, discovered something equally as great as Brad's love for wing wongs and the draft itself. I discovered a series of websites that rank your current chosen fantasy teams. These websites typically provide a strength and a weakness of each team, as well as a percentage chance of that current team making the playoffs given our league settings. Today I'll provide and examine some of my findings from these websites, and with these findings, I will list the favorites to make the playoffs from both the West Division as well as the East Division. Let's begin with the West. The first team I will cover will be the Hades Wing Wongs, managed by Cillian Weed. He is good, he cheats ever so softly, he doesn't like wing wongs very much. Your door, sir. The website listed running back as an area of strength for the wing wongs. Adrian Peterson is arguably the best back in the league, Reginald Bush provides a spark in both the rushing as well as the receiving departments, and Stephen Ridley could be a quality back if he ever learns to hold on to the football, which he'll never do, so you're good. Wide receiver and tight end were listed as weaknesses. Zach Ertz, much like Cillian, is mighty and good. The website also found that Cillian's wide receiver core of Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson too reliant on an injury-prone RG3, which is false, you're good once again. Overall, Willie gained a 58% chance of making the playoffs with his current roster, but I tell you what, he's going to do that because he's good. I'm going to beat him softly. Moving on to the Browntown Crutters, who are managed by Straight. And I tell you what, it's a good thing he likes wing wongs because him and his team are going to get their booties plugged by so few of them this season. They are so good. As mighty and good as he is, Straight does have some talent at the running back position. Giovanni Bernard should have a big year with an increase in reps now that BenJarvus Green-Ellis is 1,000 years old, and Monty Ball should have plenty of goal line attempts to rack up some TDs. The Browntown Crutters show some weakness at the wide receiver position, with Fitzgerald, an aging and injury-prone wide receiver, and a disgruntled and angry Andre Johnson. Brad did manage to draft a free agent wide receiver no one has ever heard of named Justin Hilton, though, so that's good. He literally isn't on a team, Brad. You are so smart, so good, and so straight. Overall, Straight earned a 13% chance of making the playoffs with his current roster. That is so good, but slightly representative of how good he is. We will now examine the team Grandma Tarkin, managed by Tay-Tay. Tay-Tay had a surprisingly good draft. His strength at tight end is represented by Jordan Cameron, who is a small weapon and huge asset as long as he can stay healthy. The same can be said for Julio Jones, who leads a strong wide receiver core, which consists of Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, Dwayne Bowe, and a potential sleeper in Tavon Austin. A lack of running back depth could be an issue for Tay, with only two quality backs in Marshawn Lynch and Trent Richardson. An injury-prone RG3 could also be an issue for Tay going forward. Overall, Tay received a 58% chance of making the playoffs with his current team. Moving on to Team Donovan, managed by Donovan, aka Young Donald, aka Frog. I commend Frog for being bold and snagging Peyton Manning in the first round with a 3rd overall pick. Manning is a monster at quarterback and easily Frog's best player. The website agreed with this notion, listing quarterback as a huge strength for Don. The website was concerned with an injury-prone Steven Jackson, however, at running back, and a lack of total running back depth, with only 3 running backs on the roster. The website in use, footballguys.com, also voiced a similar concern regarding Reggie Wayne and the receiving core for Don's team. Overall, the website gave Donovan what I consider to be an unfairly low 8% chance of making the playoffs. With Manning, anything is possible. Next up is Team Hunley, managed by Ben. Ben has a strong receiving core led by What Are You Trying to Tell Me himself, Calvin Johnson, aka Megatron. Roddy White, Percy Harvin, Emmanuel Sanders, and DeAndre Hopkins help round out a great group of receivers for Ben. Team Hunley's running backs are slightly below par as a group, and Cam Newton has had his fair share of injuries. Newton will have to remain healthy for Ben to make some serious noise this season. Overall, Ben received an 11% chance of making the playoff with his current team. Last and certainly least, we will examine the Delta regime, managed by the newest and most diehard Cleveland Cavaliers fan in the world, Dan. Dan has an obvious strength in Andrew Luck, who is the quarterback I wanted, which is good and still pleases me. Instead, I got stuck with a good one. I'm pleased. I'm going to win a bunch of games. According to the website, Dan has only one true weakness, running back depth. McCoy and Sproles both play for the Eagles, and his bench consists of lightweights such as Ronnie Hillman and Carlos Hyde. Overall, Dan received a 15% chance of making the playoffs with his current team. However, as the commissioner, I can guarantee that he will have a 100% chance of making the playoffs if he convinces Mr. Monk Jr. to play ball at the University of Arkansas. That would be weak. We win a few titles. I'm weak. We trying. Using our current league settings, 4 teams total will make the playoffs, 2 from the West and 2 from the East. Using only the website's projected percentage for our current teams to make the playoffs, we end up with a projected finish of Silliam in first, Tay-Tay in second, Dan in third, Straight in fourth, Ben in fifth, and Donovan in sixth. This also means that the 2 teams projected to represent the West in the playoffs are the Hades Wing-Wongs and the Team Grandma Tarkin. So concludes part 1 of our post-draft preseason breakdown analysis of the Weedham Boys Fantasy Football League. In an effort to keep the video from being incredibly long and potentially incredibly boring, I decided to divide the video up into 2 parts. So be on the lookout for part 2, which will provide a complete breakdown of the Eastern Division of our Fantasy Football League. For now though, let's stick with the Western Division. So many great storylines to follow. Brad's love for Wing-Wongs, Will's constant effort to cheat to win, Taylor, a first-time fantasy football player, finding himself in the driver's seat to reach the playoffs and earn a playoff spot. What a truly great year it's going to be. And what a great intro to this video. Much like Brad, I wonder what it would sound like chopped and screwed.